What is going on, everyone? This is skycedi.
I'm Becky.
And we are here today because we want to talk about what's pretty much on everyone's mind. We originally didn't really want to focus our attention on this topic, but recently I had someone who I actually known since I was a kid reach out to me, and I haven't heard from this person in a long time, but she basically asked me to make a video on this topic because she is currently living in a foreign country working as an ICU nurse, and she's seeing firsthand what this whole pandemic is doing to her country and the people that she is, saving every day and helping. Sort of out of, I guess, honor for her and what she's doing, I figure that it'd be great for us to just give an update to you guys as well in terms of what's going on. Also, a lot of you guys have been DMing me and asking me about how we're doing.
Everyone knows what we're discussing is the current pandemic, and obviously this is an unprecedented event in history, the craziest thing that's happened in modern time to affect the entire world as it has. And we are very uniquely placed in South Korea, the only country or one of the very few countries in the world who has at the moment gotten on top of this. Also with the perspective that we have having family in the US and also keeping up with the news there, first-hand accounts versus what's going on with our first-hand accounts here, we can definitely see huge differences. And I think it would be we're hoping beneficial to talk about this and share with you our experiences and our hopes for other countries so they can follow suit and hopefully get control of this pandemic too.
So I reached out to you guys who are following me on Instagram, and I asked you guys to send us any questions that you have regarding this whole issue and how we're doing in Korea. And so we're just gonna basically do a Q&A style regarding this topic, and we're just gonna go through all of the questions as quickly as possible. We wanna make it very efficient, and hopefully you guys will find value in this video.
What's daily life for you like now? And then the part two of that, what was it like 1 to 2 months ago? We live in Seoul, so we are very fortunate to not be in the center of the epidemic here. However, I feel like now it has calmed down a little bit comparatively to 1 or 2 months ago. Right when it first broke out in Daegu, we were getting so bombarded with so much news, and the numbers were climbing every single day. I was getting actually quite anxious. I would literally start the day by checking how many more numbers of people had caught it. When the numbers were climbing, 500, 600 people were catching it every day. I was obsessively checking over this map that we have. They built a map where you can trace where every single patient has traveled at what day as well, so you know what to avoid. But I was checking this map obsessively to see, did they come to my neighborhood? Did they visit somewhere that I had just been the other day? And so this was at the forefront of my mind. It was like sudden alarms, after like 1 or 2 months ago. It was so abrupt, just really fast. And it's funny because I remember being like, China, I can't believe this is happening in China, right? Oh, so crazy. And it felt so far away. And then suddenly, literally the next day, it was like happening here so fast.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had literally just maybe 20-something patients, confirmed cases. And the 31st one is the one that broke it out. And that happened in Daegu, which is one of the central southern cities here in Korea. And they had it the worst, and they're still recovering from that. But up until that point, even like every case to me was like a big deal. Like when, when we discovered like case number 21, number 22, it's like, oh my goodness. But it didn't really hit home until number 31, because that's when the outbreak happened. And then that's where Korea started to, quickly after that, took the lead.
Very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, outside of China, we became the second growing, I guess, country with the cases. Yeah, so that's how it was about 1 to 2 months ago. Now, like Becky said, things have settled down a little bit, at least here in Seoul. Everyone's still wearing masks. Everyone is still, there's still sanitizer everywhere.
Yeah.
But I feel like life is getting slowly back to normal, almost.
It is. I'm not sure if that's a good thing though, because I worry due to our complacency, we might face a second wave here in Seoul. I mean, the government and health services have done a remarkable job, an incredible job, really. I was here for mayors a couple years back, and I feel that we have definitely learned from that. Even though the MERS outbreak was significantly smaller here in Korea, it was very deadly, and the spread was contained. But I do remember the differences between then and now. I feel this time is really heightened. And we see people standing outside in lines for masks. And I remember buying hand sanitizer. When I found a bunch of bottles, I just bought 2 big bottles at the time, plus little ones for us to carry, because I just didn't know what was gonna happen. But Korea has done a great job.
Are there any mandated stay-at-home orders like the US? Generally speaking, no. I don't know about Daegu. I know that when the outbreak happened, probably 2 months ago now, starting in late January, I think once they saw the severity of that, they started, I don't know how they implemented it, but pretty much I think most of the city was on some sort of a lockdown. But in Seoul, we never got to that point.
Well, what happened was first is schools closed down, right? Schools closed down first, and then businesses slowly, depending on your employer, started sending people home, saying work from home. This was the biggest change.
Right, but I think most companies and most businesses still functioned.
Are people in Korea also practicing strict social distancing like they do in North America? Yes and no. Right, yes and no. So obviously, some businesses closed down, and schools, my gym closed down. But festivals were canceled. We were supposed to film a big music festival. Yeah. That was canceled way back.
We actually had some jobs and some gigs that canceled because of this.
Right, because of places where people are collected. They are not allowing big collection. Churches, services closed down very quickly too. I have not seen big groups of people, moving together. I haven't seen that.
Right.
But yeah, they do say we get these alarm text messages all the time, and very frequently we get alarm messages that say practice social distancing. Don't go together with groups of people, don't hug or touch in public. So we do have that. Is it an actual rule here at the moment? I don't think it is, but it's definitely something people are practicing, I think, willingly.
Right, but also at the same time, if you go out, especially again in Seoul, that's where we're located, there are tons of people in certain places, like in Hongdae, which is the area that we're commonly in. There's just tons of people at certain parts. When I say tons, I mean more than what I feel like there should be.
Right.
But
buses still will get full.
Yeah, because people still going to work, because again, things aren't really closed down. So it was a little bit more empty when the outbreak first happened.
Right.
The subway was eerily empty. Yeah. And some parts of Seoul still are
still very quiet.
Yeah, but I think for the most part, people are not practicing social distancing from the perspective of how Westerners and people in the US are practicing, because they're preaching the whole 6 feet type of thing. And
we haven't heard that.
People are still kind of closer than that, I think.
Yeah, so this is what I'm worried about, the complacency here. Have we seen instances of hoarding?
Not so much. I think the biggest thing was when the outbreak first happened, face masks were sold out everywhere. Right. You couldn't get them in the pharmacies, you couldn't get them in, usually they're sold even in subway stations, they're just sold in random places, you couldn't get them anywhere.
Because Korea, we often wear masks also because of the fine dust.
So I think people were panic buying, but also from what I hear, I think certain companies were bulk buying and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened. Korea cracked down on that.
Really
the
fast.
Government did. And so it took a couple of weeks to get supplies of masks back in. So we were without masks for a little bit.
Yeah,
to be honest.
we were, and it was hard. You get this kind of dropping feeling when you walk past the pharmacy and it says Pumje, all sold out. So you just got accustomed to that and be like, oh, it's kind of that anxious feeling. Actually, one of my friends, she did buy a big box of masks before that crackdown happened, because she just had warning bells. She works in the medical field, but she shipped them all off to Hong Kong, because Hong Kong had a harder time than we did with getting masks at first. So now we have a system implemented where it's based on your birth date on your ID card, where you can buy 2 masks a person on the day where your birthday allows.
Yeah, per week.
Per week, yeah. But you know what? I will tell you one thing. We have not run out of anything else.
No.
So Stop
That's
hoarding.
true.
Stop hoarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially like in other countries where medical professionals are not even, well equipped or supplied. Like, yeah, it's a different ball game over there. So we do feel for the people that really need those supplies.
Yeah.
Have any celebrities, idols, or high-ranking politicians in Korea been infected with COVID-19?
At the moment, I don't know of any.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I tried to, in preparation for the video, I tried to look up if anybody in Korea was infected, like high-ranking, and I couldn't find anyone. So if you guys happen to know anyone, just feel free to drop it in the comments.
Yeah. What are some ways the Korean government is helping citizens? Well, like I said, they are implementing the rationing system for masks, and they have put limits on how much hand sanitizer you can buy. So in that regard, it's helping people to not panic buy. Actually, they also made their own stimulus bill for people.
Right.
Yeah, like in the US, you guys have the stimulus bill. Also in Korea, they have done that for the citizens here. I'm not exactly sure the details on that one. Oh, another thing the government is doing, and in this regard, let's say helping its citizens, as in Korean passport holding people who live here, they have started kicking out non-Korean citizens who are not abiding by the 14-day quarantine rule.
That's true.
When you fly in here, you have to quarantine yourself, but because there's no set place where they're quarantined by the government, it's self-quarantine, and they're depending on you to be socially smart.
Right.
However, some foreigners have not abided by this rule, and the Korean government actually took the step and kicked them out. Yeah, so this is something the government is doing to protect its people.
Right, and just to add on to that, we've gained control of the situation. It's certainly contained, and we're just trying to, obviously eradicate it if that's even possible. I don't know if that's possible, but a certain percentage of the cases in recent times have been from people coming into the country.
Right, most of them.
Yeah.
What are some differences between the US response and South Korea's? This is a very good question. And frankly, it's something that we talk about all the time.
All the time.
All the time. I don't want to insult. Unfortunately, from our third-person outside perspective, gazing in at what's happening in the US, watching the news, and also talking to people who are there on the ground level, there is no other word I can use to describe this response except for completely selfish and idiotic. And I know that came off really, really strong, and I'm very, very sorry. But there was so much that could have been done. There was so much that could have been done, and we had been talking to our friends and family in the US for weeks ahead. And unfortunately, due to this perhaps very individualistic mindset in the US, and perhaps this sense of we're the Americans and we can overcome this, we're the strong, we're the best, maybe this subconscious idealism that people carry in the States did not listen. And why are you wearing masks? That's not going to help. Something like, I need to work, I need to do my own life. And I feel this individualistic, rather self-centered perspective was at odds with this communal perspective that we have here in Korea.
We don't want to get political. This is not a political thing. This is just our opinion, by the way. Feel free to disagree. That's fine.
Yeah.
But one of the major differences, and I think this is a major factor in the difference between how Korea handled it in the US and how effective Korea was, is the amount of testing. Now, we all know that testing is still not readily available for everyone or as accessible. Here in Korea, what we saw was testing was not only free of charge, but it was just readily available for anyone who needed it. And so, of course, they showed priority to those that had symptoms or came into like the hospitals, and eventually came into, I guess, those special quarantine zones for people who were feeling those symptoms. But that was, to me, the biggest difference in how we handled it, and we were able to, contain it quickly versus the US, which is still, the US doesn't have a clear grasp on how many cases there are, because everyone hasn't been tested yet. Because of the nature of this pandemic and this virus, it's communally transferred at this point, and how do you know it's being transferred?
And it's extremely fast as well.
Exactly. How do you know it's being transferred if you don't even know if you have it? Because, the thing is, sadly, many people are asymptomatic. You're not going to show symptoms, and that's scary because the US is still hasn't made testing readily available and or accessible and affordable.
That's right.
Right. So we can get into all of that. I think we'll spare the whole, the medical system and things like that.
Yeah, and of course there's a lot of factors that have caused that, but if there's anything we can nail it down to is that Korea took a very aggressive approach to testing, and they did it very efficiently, effectively, and cost efficient for everybody.
Right.
And this is what set, if there's nothing else, disregarding culture, disregarding politics or whatever, that is the thing that has set us aside. And I think has saved so many lives.
Definitely. I mean, so the extent that Korea has gone, just a couple of examples is like sometimes when we go into public places like a shopping mall, they have people
checking your temperature
to make sure you don't have a fever.
Hand sanitizer everywhere.
Hand sanitizer is literally everywhere. I mean, subway stations, every restaurant, everyone has it out now. And so that's one example. We also set up a lot of drive-through testing centers where commuters on their way to work can just line up, and then in a very fast and efficient way, they'll get their temperature tested, and if they show like some sort of fever, they can actually go to another place to actually get the test done.
This is another thing. They set different centers aside to handle the COVID issue, and then regular hospitals, so that you're not coming into this hospital and just affecting other people.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they set up hotlines right away so that you could call ahead of time and say, I have this symptom, and then they will send you to the proper place.
Right.
So this was so effective. Why can't it get set up everywhere else?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And and in Korea, the speed in which they address the issue has to be mentioned, because as soon as there was like that first case, they were on it.
Yeah.
They were literally on it. They weren't calling it a hoax. They weren't saying, oh, it's just going to disappear. I said I wasn't going to get political. Right? I'm not getting political.
You're not getting political.
It's just the truth, right?
Yeah.
Korea took it very seriously, and even though Korea didn't handle everything perfectly, because we did run out of supplies. I mean, you can't necessarily.
That's inevitable. At the
Yeah. But I think I would give Korea definitely an A. If I had to agree. Yeah.
Really?
I would give them an A.
This is like against the curve, huh? It's everyone else in the classroom.
I mean, like for sure.
They've done a good job. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I just wanted to mention transparency too. This was significant in Korea, as in, I mentioned the text messages we get earlier. They set up a system so fast where you can literally track where every single patient had been going. I could see that on the Starbucks down my street in Hongdae a couple days prior, somebody had been there, so I stopped going there. And they are able to put the date and the time, not the exact time, but like how many hours that somebody had been there. If it was within 24 hours, it would be marked in red, so you know exactly where they were, so you can avoid that spot. Then also they were sending us regular updates, text messages, depending on where I was at the time. So if I was in Hongdae, they would say, oh, it's Hodaemun, like there was patient number, this number of people who were found with this. So then if you have any symptoms or in that area, you need to call this number. So they're keeping it very transparent where these people were. Unfortunately, that's not good for some people. Can I just tell a quick story?
Oh man.
This is really fun. It was so transparent, in fact, that there was a man who was caught cheating because they had to track everywhere that he went that day, and his wife was like, you told me you were at work, and in fact he was somewhere else. So what's the lesson learned? If you're cheating, you're gonna get caught.
For sure. Don't do it.
Just don't do it. But yeah, Korea was very transparent, and I think that helped us, just other citizens, to protect ourselves, thanks to this transparency.
Right. Yeah. So, we're not saying this to bash the U.S. I think at this point the U.S. is playing catch up, and I am glad to see that the administration is starting to take it more serious now. And I'm glad to see that, they're actually, I guess, they're admitting the reality of what's to come, right? And so, so glad to see that. I wish that they would do better still. And, this is just coming from a dude that's just watching the news 24/7, right? I'm not like Dr. Fauci, a medical expert or anything like that. But I will say this, shout outs to my sister who is working in the medical field. She is a OBGYN, actually in her final year of residency. And in her hospital, they've had confirmed COVID-19 cases. And, we go back and forth, and, she doesn't have enough supplies. She doesn't have face masks. They have to reuse face masks, or they have to use it their entire shift. as opposed to disposing of it after you see a patient, right? So that's very heartbreaking, and if I can be honest, it angers me.
Sure.
Because not only my sister, but those that are actually literally on the front lines dealing with these patients directly, they don't have the proper supplies that they need. And I don't know when they're going to get it, but that's why I feel like things are still going to get worse until all of these issues are dealt with. Supplies are there, testing is there. That's when we can flatten the curve, so to speak, coming from my non-professional perspective. But yeah.
And since we are not government officials and we are not the politicians who are running these countries, therefore the only advice we can give you is do what you can on your own personal individual level.
For sure.
Which means being smart, being sane, don't hoard items, and just practice social distancing.
Yeah.
You know, really, it's gonna be hard. And as you can see, we are upset. As you can see, we are angry watching this and having experienced it ourselves. But it is possible to get through this, and I think that we are learning a whole lot about ourselves and our own countries through this experience. So the last thing that we wanted to share with you guys to kind of end on a more encouraging note are some things you can do.
Yeah.
Some things you can do while you are quarantining.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that you can do is
watch our videos.
Definitely. Good one. I wasn't even gonna say that. Yeah, I think one of the things that you can do is take this time, if you are actually quarantined or you're in a lockdown and you're just at home for, days on end, take this time to actually get into some things that you've been wanting to get into like maybe self-help stuff or educate yourself on something and, just kind of immerse yourself in that while you have the time. I think that's a good idea.
Also, you're going to have a lot of time. Like, don't put a limit on it, guys. I know it's so easy to say, like, in May, I'm finally going to travel to where I was going to go in March. Don't put that limit on because it's going to constantly disappoint yourself. So in this point, just invest in yourself in what time you have now. And, don't try to draw that final date when you'll finally get past it, because who knows when that final date will be. So don't disappoint yourself in that regard. Invest yourself in things that you can do to improve yourself. If you want to learn something new, this is a great time to do it. Language, music, you want to get well versed in old classic films, go ahead and do that. And if you want to sleep for many hours, go ahead and do that. There's no need to put pressure on yourself or feel disappointed, like, I'm wasting my time. Time is all we have right now.
Right. And last thing I'll say is this will be a good time to, if you're not in the same household as your family or loved ones or friends, this is a good time to just connect with them and to, let them know, as cheesy as it may sound, that you love them, that you appreciate them, that you value them, because one thing that this whole situation has shown is the frailty of human beings. They say that this whole pandemic is the great equalizer of human beings. We're all just as susceptible to this, and we're all just as fragile. And so with that in mind, just appreciate your loved ones and reach out to them, connect with them, have good times, and just tell them that you love them.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we just wanted to encourage you with this video and give you an update on what's been going on with us here in South Korea. And we just, again, our hearts go out to you guys wherever you are, whether you're in the US or any other country. We know that this is a serious issue, but together we can get through this, so we just want you to be encouraged. We want you to stay strong and take all the precaution.
It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be frustrated. And it's okay to feel bad and upset about this whole thing that is out of your hands. That's a very natural emotion. And so we hope that you can just acknowledge those feelings and then learn how to deal with it in a healthy, constructive manner so that after this is all past, you can look back and say, like, I did this well. Yeah, this is putting a lot of responsibility in our own hands. And I think that you're up to the task, I'm up to the task, and you're up to the task. So we're just here to cheer you on for that.
Absolutely. So we're going to be here giving you guys content throughout this whole time. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. We are a half Korean creative filmmaking couple here in Korea. And we're going to do our best to keep making content for you during this time.
For you.
Yes, definitely. So follow us on social media, and if you have any comments, please leave them down below.
Let us know how you're doing.
All right, guys, we'll see you in the next video. And remember to always seize the day. Peace.
Peace, 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 peace.